Hi everyone, I'm Christina Herrick. I'm on the editorial team with Athletic Turf News, and I'm here with Bob Christofferson, former head groundskeeper of the Seattle Mariners. I'm talking to Bob because Bob recently retired from MLB, so I thought it would be a good conversation to have about where the turf industry has been, so any fun moments he's had, and maybe some insights. So Bob, tell me about some of your favorite moments on being with the grounds team with the Mariners, or even in your career.
Yeah, that's a favorite moment. It's kind of 40 years of doing and for me it was never a job. It was never going to work. I went to do what I wanted to do, and so I would just enjoy every minute of it. I loved being in the ballpark when there was nobody there and it was just me, and I love being in there, in Seattle when there was 45,000 people and they're screaming and they're enjoying the game and they're enjoying the field that my crew and myself produced. So it all, we did my first 2 years. I joined the Mariners in July of 2000. We hosted or played in the American League Championship against the Yankees in 2000. And then July of 2001, we hosted the 2001 All-Star game. And then when we went back in the fall and played the Yankees again, we lost both times with an opportunity to go to the World Series. But, I thought I died and went to heaven. I didn't realize we'd never get back to another playoff game. So, I think what's enjoyable is the satisfaction at game time that you did the best you could to get the field ready, depending on the conditions. And of course, we had a roof in Seattle, but conditions change with the weather all the time, no matter whether you have a roof or not. So we like to play with the roof open, and hopefully we were able to do that most of the time. But that took a little bit of work too, because the groundskeeper, from the moment they wake up until probably they go to bed, is they look at the weather. I have a great relationship with the local weather service, and they were really good to me, and I had radar in my office. So me and the weather were one.
So tell me a little bit about this dancing grounds crew routine. I saw
Oh
a
my.
photo. How'd that get
Yeah,
started?
I apologize for that. The dancing ground, we did a lot of, it was fun. I think we did it for about 12 years. Kevin Martinez from our marketing department came down and he said, we got this idea and it's a takeoff of the Yankees. They did the YMCA. And I said, well, if you're going to ask my crew to dance, I said, not that I'm a dancer. I got two left feet. I can't dance. But I won't ask them to do it unless I do it. So, and then I said, we need to find somebody to teach us the moves. So we got this choreographer for the Seattle Sonic basketball team. She was still doing it. They were still playing in Seattle, and we'd rehearse dance routine at least 20 hours before we'd bring it on the field, and I was probably the last one on the crew to get it, but we had a couple of good, both guys and girls on the crew that were good dancers, and they would teach the rest of us. So it was fun. We did we dressed up in tuxedos and did New York, when the Yankees were in town one day. So that was fun. And we had to learn that one in a hurry, but most of them took about 20 hours before we were willing to take it on the field. So.
How do you fit rehearsals in with everything?
Oh, that was the hard part. It really was. I mean, it's hard to tell your wife, hey, team's out of town. I won't be home till 9 o'clock because I got to rehearse for 2 hours. And my crew would come in and the first time we danced or we did it, we went to her studio, and it's all glass. There's three mirrored windows, sides, walls, and then a window looking out at another dance studio. And you can't dance and look at yourself in a mirror. It's just impossible. So I told her, I said, you're coming to the ballpark from now on. So she did. She loved it. We danced to a lot went to charities for a lot of charity auctions. And, that's one of the things that I'm probably proudest of is all the charity work that we did. We had our guest groundskeeper package that in the entire time that I was there raised over $1.1 million for various charities. So that was a good thing. And it was good for us because we wouldn't know who the person was that was going to come and be our guest that night. I'd talk to them on the phone, but you couldn't tell. We had 75-year-old grandmothers, and the youngest, they were supposed to be 16, but I would if somebody bought it at an auction and they didn't see the disclaimer that you had to be 16 and they were 15 or 14, sometimes I'd let them come in. But to get their perspective on the field, they walk on the field and they're in awe, and they say wonderful things about how you do your job and how we do things. It just, you when you're doing it, you just are involved, and you just do it. And it's like, a homestand, a long homestand. At the end of a homestand, the grass was tired. I think the grass always felt like me. It was tired. So, and I was tired. And so you get a little time to recoup. But today you turn around and put a concert on. I think people don't realize how many extra events go on in all ballparks, Major League Baseball, minor league, all of them. It's the part of the business that kind of scares me a little bit, because I don't think you'll see a lot of guys stay in it for 40 years, because it's the great thing about the early years is the team went away on a road trip. So, you were still there. Everybody used to think, team goes away, you go home. No, you're there, but the day's shorter. So it's a different world.
Was it always, when you got involved in your career, did you always expect, is it kind of like being a professional baseball player where you want to get to the big leagues? I mean, is that the goal?
No, never had that interest. I worked for the city of Tacoma for 20 years. It was a good job, good benefits. When they built the stadium in Seattle, they had a Kingdome for the first 25 years, so they were playing indoors on AstroTurf, and I didn't have any desire to do that. So when they built the outdoor stadium, they only interviewed 2 guys, and they hired somebody else who had major league experience. And when they told me, they asked me, what do you think? And I said, well, I think you hired the wrong guy, but you'll find that out later. And they did. A year later, they called me up and said, we need you to come and make the field better, because everybody thinks it's easy to go grass in the Northwest. I think the biggest thing about the job is you have to stay in tune with it. You have to, it's like your right arm. And you have to know what the grass needs, when it needs it, especially in the off season when it's easy to go home and get away, but you have to stay on top of it.
So, how do you get to that point where it becomes intuitive? Is that just over time, or kind of understanding how the grass responds?
Yeah, when I first got into this, I didn't go to agronomy school, or I mowed lawns as a kid my whole life, and I went to school to be a teacher, and actually taught school, and was a baseball coach. And then I worked on the grounds crew in Tacoma on the side in the evenings, like my dad. My dad was on the original crew, and he was a postal employee, a letter carrier, but he would moonlight on games. And when I was a little kid, probably the bases were bigger than me when I was carrying them off the field for him. And I had an opportunity in 1981 to be the head groundskeeper, and teaching I was always getting a pink slip at the end of the year, and then get rehired. So I said, well, let me try this, and the rest is kind of history. So, but today I tell kids all the time, you have to have the education, you have to have the degree. It's important. It's really important. But the practical experience is in the end going to be more important and more beneficial to you. And some of the things, I've had guys, when I hired people, I told them that it were seasonal jobs. I said, you know what, your goal should be to work for me for 3 years at the most, and then let's go find you another job. Let's go find you a full-time position. And we did that. I had a lot of guys that are in Major League Baseball, a lot of guys running minor league baseball stadiums, a lot of guys in school districts and park districts. And so there's a lot of avenues, but a couple of guys, the top 4 guys for the Seahawks training facility all started with me. One of them sent me a really nice email the other day, and he said, and he was one of the first guys on my first crew in Seattle. He said, you sat me down at the end of my 3rd year, and you said, it's time for you to go and find something else. And I encouraged him to get in the golf industry and see if he liked it. They're completely different businesses. And he did that for a couple of years, and then he had an opportunity to come back, and he had a chance to join either the Seahawks or go to work for the University of Washington. And I gave him the pros and cons of both, and I said if it was me, I'd pick the Seahawks, and he did. He's the top guy there now. So those are, the business is it's changing, but I think understanding the time commitment. I think that's the biggest challenge for young people, is understanding the challenge. When we were doing a concert one year, I know I was physically working 22 out of 24 hours, and that's something. And then you turn around and have an 8-day homestand, and it was hard. I mean, you just kind of grind through it.
Yeah. All of that kind of segues into the next question I had, which is to talk a little bit about, you talked about how the business has kind of changed over the years. So talk to me a little bit about how turf management has changed. Is it turf planted, all of that?
Well, I think, there's technology in everything, and I think it's just evolving, and it's up to you to stay in tune with it. My biggest thing, I'm not the smartest guy in the world. I put a lot of smart people around me, including all my vendors. And I think vendors are a big, big, big part of helping and making you successful. There's new tools, make sure you're using the right tools for the right task, all of that kind of stuff. It's important. There's all kinds of bells and whistles. We had a heating system. We had sub-air system. We obviously had the roof. We had grow blankets. I grew grass for 20 years and didn't have any of that. But you use those tools, and you get better at it, and you ask questions. You got to ask questions. And I used to tell my fertilizer rep, I said, and my other reps, I said, you come and walk on this field anytime you want to, because I want your opinion. I want your eyes. I want you to tell me, because I'm there. I live it. I breathe it. I was there, and when I wasn't at the park, I was thinking about it. So it kind of, I don't know if you become blind to it, but other people's, and the crazy thing about my job and almost every groundskeeper in Major League Baseball is you get people thank you for your work, and you get accolades. Oh, this looks beautiful. And most people go to work their entire career and not have that. Well, we get it every day, and it means a lot. It helps you go when it's late at night and you got to stay in water. And if you want something that's rewarding is all the relationships, whether it's your grounds crew. My grounds crew, they weren't workers. They were my friends. The players, you get to be friends with some of the players. It's a little different. It was a lot more close earlier. The business has gotten in the way, but you still get to be friends with the guys, and all your coworkers. like I said, my vendors weren't, they were friends. I'd call my sod guy supplier. I'd call him up on a Sunday afternoon in the middle of the game and say, team's leaving town tomorrow. Can you bring me up 3 rolls of sod? Because we want to replace some worn out spots. So, and they never failed. So it's always good.
Yeah. So tell me about your favorite Mariner to watch play. Is there one in particular or anybody you want to mention?
Uh, you know,
Do you even get
I,
to enjoy the game as you're watching both players as you're
well,
working?
you certainly watch it differently. And I would tell people that were on the crew, I know you're a baseball fan, but this is a different role. And I was a baseball fan, but it was a job. And there's enough stress on you as the game is going on. Every ground ball that's hit, you know, I would sit in my office because I didn't want the TV camera to pan onto me, sitting where my guys were. But the announcer would say that ball took a bad hop, and I'd throw something at the TV. I said it did not take a bad hop. It did exactly what it was supposed to do, and the player missed it. It's not my fault, but we got the blame. We didn't get as much credit as maybe we should have gotten. But Jamie Moyer was a really good. He was a pitcher. You get close to the pitchers because you spend a lot of time. The mound is a focal point. You want to make sure. I would tell all the players because I was on the field with them for batting practice, and you get to know what each infielder how they wanted it watered. The veterans knew a little bit better than the rookies, so they didn't realize that I could change their area overnight. I mean, you tell me at 4:00, I'd get the lineup at 4:00, and I'd go out and talk to somebody, maybe the second baseman that hadn't played there, and I said, "Well, do you want it a little wetter than it is right now, or do you want So for game time, we wanted to make it perfect. I'd always tell them, this is your office, and I'm your janitor. I'm gonna make this perfect for you." And and then you'd never talk to them after a game because they'd say glowing things if they won or had a good game, and not so glowing things if they didn't. But so you would wait and talk to them the next day, and then you'd get to know their tendencies. Felix Hernandez, we'd water heavy in front of home plate so the ball would slow down. I actually, I kind of wish we were able to do, or they would want us to do more things because we could certainly affect the outcome of a game. But like I said, I digress. But I'd always tell them, I don't want you to think about what's underneath your feet. I want you to already know what's going to happen, how the ball's going to react. I tell the first and third baseman 3-4 times a year. I said, hey, if the ball's rolling true, this is how it's going to go down the baseline. Just so it wasn't in their head, they could just react.
You said that you watch the game differently. So, are you watching for places where maybe if an outfielder had to catch the ball, in a diving catch, are you kind of watching for damage to turf and
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And just you're looking at the grass. I mean, when I watch another game, I'm always looking at the grass. And the dirt and how the ball's reacting. And I get people that call me up and say, yeah, you see this field here? It doesn't look very good. And I said, no, just wait a minute. Don't be critical because you don't know what he's gone through. Maybe he just got done with a concert and it poured down rain, and you're lucky that he got the field to the condition that it's in. So I think that all groundskeepers strive to make the field the best they can on that given day. There's so many variables that go into it, from how early was the first player on the field to was it raining when you were mowing in the morning, or was the tarp on until 6 o'clock, or just all kinds of things.
Do you have any advice? We already kind of talked a little bit about, you gave some advice for people that might be interested in pursuing a career in groundskeeping. Is there anything else you'd like to share?
I think if you're if you're in the business, no matter where you're at, if you're at the major league level, I used to go up to our marketing people early on and got a relationship with them because, they bring so many people on the field. They have a job to do, and I have a job to do. So anybody that's going to interact with your field, try and get a relationship with them because they're going to respect you more, and they're going to maybe take a little more care in how they go about their business, and they have a job to do, that will make your job easier. So I think communication, and caring, and just be open-minded to you got to throw your watch away. I never wore a watch, so um, you can dedicate. The great thing about baseball is it's all about family. Uh, so my family was around. My kids worked for me, and those were good things. Those are good days for all of us.
So when you said you threw out your watch, were you just flying then on the ballpark for countdown to game time and things like that, and the rest of the
Well,
time didn't
yeah,
matter?
everything. Like I said, when the game ends, you're on to the next game, and the next time that is critical is first pitch. So if it's 7:10, everything you're doing from whenever the game ended until that 7:10 is in preparation for that field to be the best it can be, at that time.
Well, thank you so much, Bob, for talking to us about your experiences as a head groundskeeper and sharing a little bit of advice and insights for possible future groundskeepers. I hope there's more out there like you. And I just, on behalf of everyone from Athletic Turf News, we want to wish you a really happy retirement, and hope you get to watch the Mariners in the World Series very soon.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate the time, and I look forward to helping little leagues. That's my next goal, is to just get out there and maybe make a little league field a little bit better. So all good things.